on Australia's business channel. This is Mediaweek.
Hello and welcome to the program. Ahead, Fairfax to start paid digital subscriptions next month and forecasts a fall in earnings for the second half. News Corp updates Australian investors on the coming split and the cricket broadcast rights deal done. But first, while we've been hearing from the local publishers this week, the global industry is also pondering the future of print. Our co-host James Manning, editor and publisher of Mediaweek, has been at the annual World Newspaper Congress in Bangkok this week and joins us live now from the Thai capital. James, great to see you there. Tell us about the Congress and have there been many Australian executives there speaking?
Yeah, hi Bridie. That's one of the disappointing things, I guess. Not really a lot of Australians on the ground here. They've had a few other things going on back home, of course. The big News Corp Investor Day, then another Investor Day from Fairfax. But the people that were here are Andrew Holden, the editor of The Age. He spoke. Kylie Davis was sort of the sole News Limited representative, if you like, this year. She moderated a session. There are a few other Australians, sort of supporters of the newspaper sector, dotted about at various functions. Andrew Holden did speak. He spoke very movingly about the challenges he faced at his previous job. He was the editor of Fairfax's Christchurch daily, The Press. And he talked about the challenges they had sort of running the paper during and after the earthquake. He had a presentation with some amazing photos taken, you know, sort of immediately after the earthquake, then the stages of recovery. And he felt a lot of empathy from fellow publishers and editors who've had their own sort of difficulties getting out their newspapers in times of crisis.
James, the last time you attended a World Newspaper Congress, the debate was largely about the loss of audiences to digital. Has the debate moved on much?
Yeah, look, it has a bit. You're right. That was sort of everybody obsessed about that. Then they sort of moved on. Should they be charging for online? That sort of ran for a couple of years. Then it was to, you know, if we do bring out a paywall, how much should it be? How should it run? Then the debate now is largely about, look, we are running paywalls. Here's how they're going. And sort of the next stage of the debate, I think, is thankfully going to get back to more about the product itself. Are we putting out the best possible product for our audience?
And in terms of premium content and subscription models, did you hear many examples about models that are working?
Yeah, look, absolutely. One of the most impressive presentations came from the Mail and Globe and Mail, the Toronto, a Canada daily. And it's doing very well. They've similarly, like we'll be talking a little bit about Fairfax in a minute. I think they had a 99-cent offer that ran for a month, and they managed to keep 90% of all those subscribers that to pay the full price when the subscription period was over. So they went right through a whole case study, and it said it put their pricing power back in their hands too. They were able to, you know, move the price up and down accordingly, and they found the market wasn't that price sensitive. So, and there were similar other case studies from Europe, in South America as well.
Just finally, was there much commentary about the future of print?
Yeah, there was, but a lot of people just present it now as part of a mixed offering of products, if you like. They have the print, they have the digital, they do lots of other things. One inventive publisher in Germany actually licenses his brand to a beer company. They have their own brand. So it's a mixed stream of income. We heard lots of stories about how strong print is in India, of course. It's still very strong in South America. There was one new Indian startup targeted mainly at a youth audience. They got it from the original concept to publishing it. It took them just 3 months, and after 10 weeks they already had a daily circulation of 300,000. So there's plenty of people still doing good work.
Well, let's turn now to the local publishers. As you mentioned, Fairfax and News Corp both holding investor days this week. Fairfax unveiling its digital subscription plans and warning that conditions remain tough, with earnings likely to fall 39% in the second half. And News Corp saying that the ad market has been volatile amid lower print sales in Australia. Well, for more on this, we're also joined on the show by the CEO of Media Buyers Starcom MediaVest, Chris Nolan. Chris, great to have you here. Just firstly, you know, we'll get into the details of what each company's doing in a moment, but where do you sit in this whole debate over the future of print and the rise in digital audiences?
That's a good question. Well, the reality is that there's more people reading and engaging with these brands now than ever. They're just doing it really differently. So when they're consuming the newspaper, the tablet, viewing the content online, in aggregation, there's actually more people actually consuming this media. So the challenge for the publishers is how do they commercialise that opportunity? Currently, they're still seeing declines in revenue coming out of the printed part of the publication, and those declines aren't being offset by the growth they're getting in the digital area, and either in terms of total numbers of people, but also in terms of revenue. So as the digital part of their business grows, they'll be able to commercialise that more strongly and hopefully arrest that net decline that they're seeing in advertising revenues.
Let's get into some of the details, and James, if you could just fill us in about the Fairfax Meter digital subscription model. Now, we found out that it's coming early in July. It's already been going for overseas readers. Take us through the details.
Yeah, look, a bit of commentary regarding overseas. They didn't have a lot of detail, but they said it had been successful. So you've got to think they've probably tailored what they announced today off the experiences they're getting there. So if people wanting free access, they'll get up 30 different stories across a month, and then they'll be asked to subscribe to the newspaper. There's sort of the initial offer is $1 for that first month. I think whatever package you think is best suited to you, and there's sort of 5 packages, so it could be a bit daunting for people to start with. They range from $15, which gives you website access only for the month, through to about $44, which gives you a full website of the apps, mobile, and 7-day delivery of the newspapers.
Chris, what do you think of this? It seems like there is quite a few packages, 5 different packages there. How do you think consumers will take to that?
Well, I think the strategy is to encourage people to adopt the digital platform. So whilst it might be a little confusing for the consumers initially, I think what they're going to see is the subscriptions actually offer them more value than the previous print-only subscription, because they'll be able to choose to view the content on whatever platform they choose, be it their mobile phone, their tablet, on their computer at home or at work, or in fact across the paper. So look, might be some early confusion, but I think eventually they'll realise that particularly on the digital side, they offer actually really good value compared to previous subscription models.
That's interesting. James, also at the Investor Day today, I mean, in the lead up to this, we've had Goldman Sachs speculating that Fairfax could quit print within 2 years. Now, CEO Greg Hywood was pretty firm on that point today, really saying that, look, print is not dead.
Yeah, he did, Bridie. He said, look, before the tabloid headlines get too crazy, we can say that the newspapers aren't going anywhere in the foreseeable future, and nor should they, because it just doesn't make sense. I mean, it's still the bedrock for their business. It's still the lion's share of the advertising dollars. Print publications still outnumber websites, or not by a lot. I think Greg Hywood said there's something like 431 publications Fairfax have, but 337 websites. So the websites are getting up there, but they haven't quite overtaken yet.
And just in terms of what Fairfax is doing, Chris, I mean, do you get much advance warning from the publishers, when things like this are coming up?
Oh, look, I think they're highly engaged with the advertiser community. And obviously they recognise that they need to give us advance warning so that we can, prepare ourselves for these changes. Right the way down from Greg Hywood has been very actively involved with our business. And very available to talk to advertisers to what it means for them. I think he's been very clear in his strategy that it's a race to a digital future, and that it's that digital future that's going to actually help restore the value in the great brands that exist within Fairfax.
James, if I could ask you too, I mean, there has been some news of more job cuts, including with 7 Melbourne suburban newspapers and AAP Newswire, also some job cuts there. Everyone pretty much is restructuring, aren't they? Yeah,
absolutely, and he gave some guidance around that's part of their cost savings. They've already sort of flagged $250 million. They say they're going to have another $60 million by, I think, about September this year. So that'll be over $300 million they will have saved. One of the big questions is, of course, will this have a lot of impact on their the content, the appeal to their audience? Will it have an ongoing impact from that on the advertising Greg Hywood said today, look, it will be minimal, but he certainly didn't say there won't be any impact.
And just turning to some other news as well, the second News Corp Investor Day as well. Was it, very different to what we heard in New York at the US Investor Day?
No, look, it was basically the same, and I think there's some legal obligations there. If you're going to, it's almost like a live prospectus, I guess. It pretty much has to be the same offer. The really only fine difference was Greg Ellis, who's the chief executive of the REA Group. He didn't make the trip to New York. Kim Williams presented there. They told their story to the investors and analysts over there, but he was part of the Australian presentation here this week.
Just in terms of what we're hearing from the major publishers about the state of the market, what's your thinking on this, Chris? Because we had Greg Hywood saying, look, conditions remain pretty tough, and similar sorts of, murmurings coming too from the CEO of the new News Corp, Robert Thomson, as well.
Yeah, we're not seeing any growth in the market overall. It's still very volatile, and it's what we call a very short market. So the predictability is of a very short horizon. And the indications of there being significant growth in the back half are not there. And I think specifically for print, they've in April they saw again significant reductions in advertiser revenue year on year. And in the digital area it's been stable. So I think the forecast for the print area is still continue to be tough times, and not sure how long that's going to continue for.
All right, Chris, great to have you here. And of course, we'll also be returning to James Manning in Bangkok in just a moment. We're going to be turning to the cricket rights. Cricket Australia bagging a big deal for its broadcast rights.